in the meantime, why don't we take a few questions for the other panelists? I know Liz needs to get going a little bit early, so I'm going to ask a couple of questions of her just to make sure we get those in. Liz, are you there?
Yes.
Great. So one of the questions that we had was, are there any examples of online exchanges between grocery stores and restaurants for food banks?
You know, that's a good question, and not that I am aware of.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign.
Hello?
Hi, Dave. I asked Liz a question since we lost you for a minute. So Liz, if you want to finish answering, then we'll continue with Dave's presentation.
Hello?
Yes.
Evan?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. For some reason, I need to just enter the access code again. That's a good question, and you know, I'm not aware of any specific site that does that. We have on our food trader site added a volume section, so folks that are looking to trade volumes, like say a farmer who has a volume to sell to say a hospital or a school system or things like that, we do have that available. But something like that available, but I haven't seen that on a website yet. I'm not sure if anyone else is aware of a site like that.
Evan, can I
Dave,
talk?
We have Dave back.
Oh, okay.
So Dave, sorry we lost you for a minute there. It's okay, we just took a quick question. If you're ready to continue, as I mentioned, we're looking at pictures of some of the reused wood pieces that you've got.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. When you were answering, then all of a sudden it just kicked me off. So we're looking at the benches and all of that, right? Well, basically where I was going with that is, you know, our reuse businesses, they have a reuse store, they have a construction / deconstruction component, which is a separate, almost like a separate business. And then a number of them are starting what you might even call a third business, which is manufacturing, where we're making products, we call them value-added products, out of reclaimed, reusable material. And we take something that might be low value and we turn it into something that's high value. So in the picture, you have some little short cabinets. Now those short cabinets are made out of scraps of wood. There's nothing long or really valuable in that image. And the bed frame in the background is made out of 2 doors. Now the doors, in this case, had been vandalized. They had been kicked in, and they were really not reusable as a door, but they are reusable as a bed frame. And then you have various other products where we're trying to add value by adding time and see that even materials that are damaged in that case can somehow be reused. So next slide. This is an important point for us. Maybe for other reuse businesses as well, dealing with other things. But what we found is that it's kind of disturbing the direction that architects and designers and even green builders, the direction they're heading. Now, we're wondering about what the future buildings are going to be like and whether we will be able to reuse anything out of them at all. So it's a movement called Design for Disassembly. And what it is it's saying when you build a building, you have to realize that someday that building will become obsolete, that building will be in the way, that building will be damaged, and it will come down, it will be removed. There aren't any buildings that will likely last forever. So we have to assume that they're going to be taken apart or taken down someday. And do we want them to be demolished for, from now until eternity, or do we want to see that they are reusable? So when you design a building, you have to be thinking about that. When you're thinking and you're talking about zero waste, you really have to think about what it is that you're putting into a building, and because you have to think about it as far as what is going to come out of the building. Now, it might be that the old bricks, like here's a picture of some old bricks, and they used to have the mortar that holds the bricks together. It used to be a lime-based mortar that was really easy to take the bricks apart without breaking the bricks, and because the mortar was soft. Now the new bricks, the new way of doing it, the mortar is extremely hard. It's harder than the bricks. It sticks them together. And if you ever try to take them apart, the bricks are going to break before the mortar breaks. So what you've done is you've taken a highly reusable material and turned it into just a highly recyclable material. Very unlikely that a lot of the new bricks are going to be saved for reuse. So we're trying to convince architects and designers to think about that, panelizing systems, channels, using screws instead of nails. And, you know, that's what we're trying to get them to think about. But what we're seeing is that the industry is using more glue. When you glue things together, if you figured out a way to unglue them, I'd be okay with it. But they don't worry about how you get it back apart. They only worry about how you glue it together. And then they make that second part somebody else's problem in the future. So we're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing green builders who are not necessarily sustainable builders, but they are green builders. And their problem is that they found this expanding foam insulation that works really well and saves a lot of energy. And I'm happy for them. But when I go to take that building apart, and I have tried, that expanding foam gets on everything. It's almost impossible to get off in certain cases. And it not only does it make the material not reusable, but it also then, in many cases, is not recyclable because they've contaminated perfectly reusable and recyclable materials with the foam. And so I think it's a case of that isn't a win-win scenario. That's a win with a big downside, in my opinion. So anyway, that's the next slide. That's all I had to say. We as an industry, if I had to sum it up, the reusable building materials industry, we are moving forward. We're training new people. We have the potential of saving millions of tons a year. We have the potential of creating thousands of jobs and saving, a lot of these homes that are in disrepair or that people just can't afford new. We have the potential of helping those people out. There's a lot of positives that we can look forward to. It's just that we keep battling things like low dump fees, demolition contractors that aren't willing to do it, people that are in a hurry, and then now we're starting to deal with even the architects and designers that are designing waste into these buildings. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you very much, Dave. That was a great presentation, and again, I appreciate you taking the time out of an already very busy day to join us. So now we have time for a Q&A, and I think we've got say about 20 minutes left if we need all of it, and if not, then we'll just end early. So I've got a quick question here for Liz. One of the audience members asked, what are some ideas about promoting sites to the public? So creative ways to keep attention on reuse. What are some ideas for promoting these reuse sites to the wider public, more than the folks just on this call?
Right. That's another good question. We, when we were promoting our ag trader and food trader sites, we would do email messages to them. We created like little magnets that we were trying to, that they could put up so that would be constantly in their mind. You can listservs, taking advantage of those. A lot of electronic. That way, you're not printing a lot of paper and things like that, or advertising in local. Sometimes you can get reciprocal. Advertising in local papers, things like that. Those are just some of the ways that we advertised our food trader and ag trader sites.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
Okay. Well, a lot of those sites that are on the iWasteNot platform, you're able to link them together and tab them, like I believe Liz had shown, that you'd have an ag trader and food trader and so forth. And not only are they linked by region on that one site, but they're linked to a broader network. So you'll have foodtrader.org, and there'll be the 5 different states that participate in biomass trader and CD material trader and so forth. So there's this ability to link the sites that is becoming really helpful in creating these networks, such as Too Good to Toss in in Washington State, and the reuse marketplace, which is kind of happening on a national basis. So I think the industry is starting to realize that we have to be, broad enough so we're hitting enough people, but local enough so we're getting things done on the ground. So there's kind of a balance that needs to happen.